on this computer. Correct. I will put me on spotlight. Yes, so the spotlight is on me once again for this particular conversation today. And thank you once again for all of you for your presence here, for your time, presence, energy, attention, attentiveness. Thank you for that. And just a reintroduction to some of you who may not know me already. So my name is Sunil Satyendra, and I am from India, the southern part of India. I am a poet first, then an engineer, not the best engineer at that, and then I became a coach. And then I realized that I'm good at two things. I am fantastic with coaching and fantastic with poetry, and that's also a segue to how this whole conversation started. So I came from a background of being in the tech. So 8 years of writing software, writing code, and also, very interestingly, whenever people ask me how many years of experience you had prior to getting into coaching, I always said I have 30 years of life experience and possibly 8 years of corporate experience. So I always found my way with words. And, the other interesting bit is that I was a happy-go-lucky kid for a very long time in life, and life had its own ups and downs and stuff like that. Loss of a loved one, and generally aspects of uh, space where vulnerability was not the easiest thing to get to. And then I happened to find poetry in my life, or poetry came to me. I am somebody who received that space of poetry for possibly the last 14 years, definitely 14 years, 2011 until now. I've been into writing, and more than 7,000 plus poems have come from my hand. And I've been the medium of that particular acceptance of life. So the universe sends me a poem and I write it. I'm just the medium. And that's helped me build on poetry. And that essentially continued through my engineering work. I finished my engineering work, got into work, and writing continued. And then writing was further amplified with volunteering for multiple causes. Going to government schools in villages, enabling their learning, and making a difference in the way of life. So, making a difference became a very strong theme in my life, along with poetry. And software ceased to be lesser and lesser of importance across. And COVID was a game changer for me and for a lot of people I know. And COVID introduced me to a global network of individuals. That's when my facilitation skills, my mentoring skills took over. And the aspect of psychological safety was something very, very important for me. And cross culturally, how safety can be brought in, DEI, how do you get voices to be heard? And sometimes the answer was, how do you hear your own voice, especially in the chaotic pre-COVID or post-COVID world and COVID world? How do we do it? And that led me to ask for a job in the company that essentially was around software, so out of software and only into people. Thankfully, they did not give me a job there because if that job had come, I don't think we would have met here. So life has its own ways of putting us on the same track that we wanted to be on. And I've over the period of those many years, I've always wanted to learn how psychologists do it. How do they sit in a conversation and make impact? And coaching happened. I went into become a facilitator around transaction analysis. The lady at that particular organization said, "I think you should try coaching." And in the next 2 days, I paid my fees without knowing what coaching was. First day into coaching, I figured out that I was in a demo conversation on the first day itself, that I was the coach. And I fell in love with coaching on that day. And that was my second love. Writing was the first one, poetry was the first one, this was the second. And no, looking back, the next 3 months before my 60 hours of training was done, my 100 hours of practice was already done. Then people said 3 hours, three months of mentoring has to happen. So I said, let's wait it. Let's wait for that time and finish it. And then I took my ACC. Um, Prior to taking the ACC, people told me that you should start PCC now. You're a good coach. And then PCC training happened, ACC exam happened. I cleared it on the first attempt. And then by the next 363 days, I had finished my 500 hours. I had experimented with two things. very strongly with one is coaching in other languages other than English. We've all learned it in English, mostly in India, and many of us even outside. And how do you bring it to languages that are vernacular and they're very natural to you? Because my clients are somebody who may not be speaking English in a professional setting always. Because I saw people who are only executives getting into coaching, or somebody who are saying, I want to be an executive coach, and that's about it. That's where the big money is. We'll stay with that. But I wanted to take coaching to school teachers. I wanted to take coaching to, say, NGO leads. I wanted to take coaching to, like, my grandma, who cannot possibly express herself in English with the same joy and ease that she can express it in, say, her vernacular language, her mother tongue. And that's something that really got me excited. And in the 500-hour journey, one interesting thing happened where my client came to one of those sessions, very interestingly said, Sunil, I don't know what to talk to today. And that the I don't know is what started the conversation. But I feel I should be coached today because there's something I don't know what's happening. And because then the question mark of what would you like to bring at the end of the conversation? What's this important for you? What would you like to walk away with? What will let you know that you got the measure of success? Everything is out of the window. And I said, how do you feel? He said, I don't know how I feel. It feels numb, right? So everything was in an I don't know space, which typically for the ICF way of life is a difficult conversation to work with because I can't tell him or her what to do. In this case, it was a him. And I didn't know much about the whole permission thing at that point of time. I checked in saying, is it okay if we try something that we've never tried before? I don't know what I'm doing. But if you're open to an experimentational phase, we can try out something. And I asked him, saying, what's the color that you feel that most resonates with you now? And he said, that's black. And then what's the opposite of that? That, that would be something that you're interested in finding out. So that's white. And my next question was, what happens between black to white? And he said somewhere there is a red, and then there was a little bit of back and forth, and he says it looks like I am entering into a space where it's a white handkerchief and there's a slow red dot that's increasing in pulsation phase, and I was like now getting into a space where I don't know what this is going and where this is going, kind of a thing. And because the intensity of the emotion on the other side was very tough and very heavy, and we just sat through the session, basically played with the colors, the metaphors, and stuff like that. And at the end of the session, the client revealed, saying, you know what, this is me expressing my fear through something like this, because logically, there was nothing that I could express myself. But this was something that was about a fear of being humiliated, because 20 years, 30 years down the line, somebody had, done XYZ, and that was something that kept on triggering me. And so I am a digital marketer for somebody else, but I can't market myself because I'm feeling I have a fear of humiliation. That was the entirety of it, and that opened it up for him. But what it gave me a confidence was, oh, there's another way to do this. And that's when the whole concept of creativity and coaching sort of came into my head at that point of time. And colors, numbers, metaphors, imagery, everything just jumped into the equation. And after that, I've had some fantastic conversations. Somebody came to me saying, I want to figure out how I make friends. And that was the most fascinating conversation. And he was I think, an 18-year-old, 18, 19-year-old. And your traditional questions of coaching become jargon to somebody that age. It was a very interesting phase to work with him. And he was somebody who spoke Hindi, and his English was not the greatest. So we talked in the language of colors. And again, his one was, there's a red, there's a yellow, there's a green, and there's white, and then there's black. And so we had to help. He knew what to transition bar in terms of his own friendship. And this was interesting for him because he was looking for a co-founder for his startup. So while he figures out how he makes friends, he is able to figure out how he is able to get his next co-founder. And that was interesting to sort of work with colors and numbers. And sometimes now, whenever a client says I'm stuck, I'm the happiest coach there ever will be, because I know there is something. If the client accepts it, there is a space for this, and it works with colors, numbers, metaphors, and more. And that's what we're going to explore today as part of this conversation. And some of you attended the other conversations here, and there was one image that we sort of showed you, and I asked you to reflect on it. We'll go back to the very same image, and we will do something interesting. I want you to possibly think of something that you've been sort of working with that may not have a lot of clarity for you at this moment of time. And this is one of those things that work with uh, coaching meets creativity. So, yeah, maybe just before I get there, something that I can very, very easily with pride talk about is very few coaches in the world use the aspect of poetry as specifically as I do. So most of them I have seen use some of the other people's poems and say, you know what, why don't we, or in this particular situation, this is a poem that's coming to me, and why don't you have a look at it and see it? So that's one coach I know of who does that. There's another coach who's written a book in Spanish as well as in English, and based on whatever she is feeling, she randomly opens. So each poem is about a certain emotion. So she opens the emotions poem and she reads out that poem, or the client reads it out for themselves, and they're able to sort of figure it out based on that. I come from a space where I enable the client to write something on their own in the session, and then they debrief it, and then they figure out what works for them in context with the situation. And as much as I know, with the last 3 years of more than knowing 500 plus coaches, nobody else does it. So just a pat on my back, saying that's an interesting space to do that. So with that sort of ancestry on this particular topic done and dusted, I want to just put you on the spot with this particular exercise that brings you to the aspect of looking into coaching and creativity. Uh, if this is going on top of your head, you'll have to let me know. Otherwise, we are good to stay on board. Yeah. Yes, I will start sharing my screen in a minute, and then you should be able to see this interesting diagram. Is it visible now? Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, perfect. So I want you to look at these images and possibly choose one of them, two of them, whatever works for you. And maybe write down what you see, how you feel, or you can just stay with whatever you feel here. Mm. And just pick one or two images that resonate with you. So once you've figured out what is that image that you've chosen, what is it triggering with you, and see if it puts anything in perspective to whatever was the conversation you said you were stuck with.
Do we try to write it a little bit of poetry form?
So whatever works for you, you can like I just told you I make you write poems. If you want to
No,
write a poem, feel
I'll try
free.
to write 4 lines of poetry maybe. I'll
Oh,
try.
fantastic.
That's-
Yeah. So for others, whatever works for you, how you're feeling, what's the picture, what memories is it bringing up? How do you feel? So
The
some of you have
pictures
chosen the
vanished.
butterfly.
The
Sorry?
pictures vanished. The time over. So I just chose one picture and I'll try to write heavily on that.
Yes.
I've done one anyways.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
So you want to share what you wrote?
Well, I've also been trying to actually improve my poetry. So
Mm-hmm.
I've written a prose also. I just tried to write both in one picture. That woman's face with the question mark.
Mm.
So first I wrote, I look at her, this outline of a woman with no face. And for a moment, I feel her ache, the ache of every woman who has lost herself while trying to do everything to everyone else. The ache of a voice unheard, of dreams shelved, of names forgotten. But within that question mark, I see hope. The hope of the kind of hope that whispers, it's never late to find yourself. That your face, your story, your essence are yours to shape, not something to be given to others. And maybe, just maybe, this silhouette is all of you, all of us, waiting for the courage to paint our own portraits.
Wow. Fantastic. Jyoti, I think Bengali blood flows with you, so
No,
poetry
no,
and
no,
you
no, no,
may
no, no,
not
no.
be
This is
too
no.
heavy.
I love writing. That's why I write on LinkedIn every day. People tell me, why do you do it? I say, I love to do it. I'd love to become a content writer
Fantastic.
also. Then I
Fantastic.
wrote a little
So,
poem also. That's just two
mm,
lines, which I got inspired by you, and I've been trying my poetic skill. A shadow in the mirror, a name I barely know, a face blurred by questions, a heart too shy to show. The world gave me labels, daughter, wife, and friend, but somewhere in the silence, I seek a voice to lend.
oh, beautiful.
I have wanted
Beautiful.
to go beyond that, but then with
You can do
also
that while the session continues or after the session. Beautiful poems, both of them beautiful writing. Uh,
another
so
certificate for this.
Yes, send me a picture and we'll share that with you. So for all those who don't know what the conversation is all about, so Jyoti is out of the 19, she's attended I think 18, 17 out
I
of
think
all
I
the
just missed the
so
first one, and I missed one. I attended that one a little bit, but I had to go
yeah,
suddenly to get
so
my
technically around
certificates.
17 of the 19 is done. So I'm giving her a certificate of appreciation, more so like a friend. It's a joyful thing we've got going. And that's the whole this thing, but coming
It's
back
good to
to the aspect of how in say 3 or 4 minutes you were able to pen something down. Simona has put something on the chat saying ants are heavy workers, organized. Then Samyukti has put clouds and new thinking. Fauzi has put butterfly and calm. I'm sure others have also had some of these ideas which you may have articulated on the chat and may not have. And uh, this is possibly coaching and poetry coming together at the same point, or creativity coming together at the same point. Specifically, it's going into those aspects where I call it the creative consciousness. It's my name. I've given it. It could be something else differently. I'm not a neuroscience guy. I'm not a research guy. So I've not done any of those spaces to where it goes. But essentially, it's that space where the logical brain is switched off and it's going to the subconscious or the superconscious, the creative conscious, whatever that we like to call, and accessing the storytelling bit of who we are. This is exactly hitting on the who we are kind of a thing, and standing on the aspects of multiple experiences that we've already have. So, in say possibly Simona saying it's about ants, they are heavy workers and they are organized. Maybe that's a value that she works with, right? So, clouds being new thinking is another value that she works with. And Jyoti chose the silhouette with the question mark, and two perspectives emerged. And now, if this was a coaching conversation with Jyoti, I would have sat with her to say, okay, what did you just sort of build on here? Since we may not have so much of time to sit with Jyoti and explore it, that was not part of the original contract. We will not do that here today. But that's a starting point to something as well, right? So we can take this up, put these images as part of a starting point to a coaching conversation. Yeah. So, yes, so Simona,
Interesting. Interesting.
what Deirdre has put in the chat is that these are dung beetles, they're not ants. So that's an interesting observation that she's put. And our perceptions of who we are is shaped by stories of or experiences that we store as stories, store or express in terms of metaphors. And sometimes this in singular image is sparked all that. So it's opened up that I don't know space where I'm feeling not so excited about life or not so excited about coaching. I'm in a space that's possibly a disadvantaged state. Roshali, I'll come back to you. At a disadvantaged state, a disempowered state, as Ram Nathan from Kocharia likes to call it, a disempowered state to an empowered state. I'm frustrated saying nothing is working. I don't know. I've come to coaching. I paid you XYZ dollars to help you find a solution. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And you said you can't give me a solution because you can't advise me right away. I don't know enough about this person to say anything and everything or even put a question mark on something specific. I am at my wit's end to see what's going on. And that's where this, if I am saying this, or I ask him saying, what's the color that's coming to your mind right away? It's like the kid is crying. He or she has fallen down, and I think multiple Indian mothers will absolutely say with it, saying that there is somebody calling you, or there's something there. The dog is barking, and looking at you. So the distraction switches off them crying. Or the kid wants ice cream. You say, "Oh, you know what? Look at that red balloon, right?" And as soon as you look at the red balloon, you move from that station to the next, and the kid has forgotten about the ice cream. So that's exactly how this helps. This is a typical placebo or whatever you like to call it. Wherein I'm at that point of time distracting the thought process or distracting the brain or mind or consciousness or whatever that we like to call it, to a point where it tangents off from a disempowered state to possibly something that is neutral, and the image is something that the individual is able to recognize, is able to work with. So automatically the brain feels very happy because now it knows something that there is, and it's gone off track. It's gone off the disempowered track to something that's not yet defined. And because I am asking the individual to say which is your picture, which is your favorite picture that you're looking at, the individual obviously says, "Oh, okay, this is the picture." Then I ask them saying, "Hey, what was about the picture that came, or what was the color that came, what was the number that came on a scale of 1 to 10?" And essentially, from there, the conversation is moving on a very different tangent, more onto the aspect of now wanting to be empowered or going into a deeper access to their own thought process, their own internal storytelling through this. And because colors, numbers are metaphorical representation. So when I say, oh, red, then possibly something like victory, blood, blah blah blah, warrior. Anything and everything can come, or a rose. Anything can come to your individual space, and that's where we are navigating the unknown unknowns. Both sides. The client also does not know, neither do I know, and this is where it's absolute raw, true presence at play, and it just makes easy for both of us to get off the disempowered state and work with the session with clear understanding and knowledge that we are moving somewhere. We're not stuck. And some of the times, the creative aspects is if you are okay to work with. So, one of the clients that I worked with again came with an interesting conversation. She said uh, a lot of things. It somehow went into that space, saying, I feel at some point in my life, I've moved out of who I was. If her name was Sunil, and she said, okay, what was the name of the person that you were before? A very interesting question that came through very naturally. That came through at that point, and she said, Ulta, whatever is the name. So if I'm Sunil, and I'm looking at this from an example point of view, she said, my name is Linus, and sort of went on. So we were just sitting with the story, saying, hey, where are you at that point of time? What are you thinking, what are you seeing, where, etc., etc. And it almost was like I feel like I am talking to a version of me that was 20 years back there, and there is a window that I'm able to see her from, etc., etc. And both sides met, and the coaching session went well, crazily. And those were things that came by with just staying with the aspect of storytelling, and how something as interesting as switching off something that is a disempowered state and a disempowered conversation to something that was working for them. So I hope this is interesting for you to experiment and experience as a coach. And just that example coming back. So, Jyoti, I will respond to you in a minute. Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, coaching and creativity can sort of coexist beautifully. And that's the space where maybe once learning how it is possible makes it a lot more easier for you to start experimenting with it, experiencing it as it happens. And also doing it with a peer coach, understanding that you will try something interesting also adds to the experience of it. You're doing it in a safer environment first and then doing it differently. And maybe something very interesting for the second half of it. I just wanted to give you a demo of it, and then I'll come back to both Roshali as well as um, Jyoti. I'm resharing the screen. I want you to look at the screen and think or look at it from now as to if the previous one that you looked at was the one that resonates the most with you, look at the one that resonates the least and just sit with whatever is coming to you for the next 2 minutes. So now
Do we
the
write down on
aspect of
this
it,
also?
write down, sit with it, whatever works for you. So least favorite of or least resonant bit of it. Sit with it for about 2 minutes. You want to write, you want to share, you want to express. Hmm. Very different expressions now that I asked you to do the least favorite bit. Hmm. Any thoughts? Anyone would like to share? Was it easier to do the favorite one, less easier to do the not so favorite one? Yes, Vishali.
Uh, the not so favorite one was very hard. I'm still processing it. Mm, It was the one that Jyoti picked, the women still hit with a question mark. Um, it uh, it felt as if somebody's questioning my identity. I don't have an identity. It's a question mark on me. Uh, I don't have a voice, and it made me feel like a nobody. And I want to have an identity. I want to have a voice. I don't want to be forgotten. So that kind of made me sad because I felt that I've always trying to be the good girl and the good daughter and the good everything have suppressed so much all my life that it's unbearable to be quiet and nameless and voiceless anymore. It brought up anger at parents, society for messing up with unrealistic expectations. And thanks to them having the gift of anxiety and struggling with it so much. This is one of my favorite song currently. That is that like somebody is watching me and that's my anxiety. So I try to bring it with a sense of humor, but there's a lot of pain. I think you just touched something which I am carrying for a while. So yeah, thank you.
And did this image answer any of your questions that you already had previously?
The previous image kind of helped me in the sense I picked up the sunrise and the minions, and I realized that what the conversation I was stuck with is how do I brand myself or what kind of coach that I want to be, because I am a person because of my background or whatever it is, my life experiences. I have a childlike wonder. I see beauty in everything. I appreciate everything. I appreciate human nature, everything like a small child, things bring me joy, and I want to spread that joy. But at the same time, I have an understanding of psychology, humans, living in an Asian society and knowing the unrealistic burden of expectations and everything. So I was just trying to think what is that I can. So should what is a childlike sense that can I bring to coaching, or what is it? I don't know. So that is what was going in my head with the first one. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And both Jyoti as well as Roshali, so thank you for sharing vulnerably in terms of what it means for you. And each image could mean different things for different people, and each of us are going to experience it very differently. And maybe if Roshali and Jyoti would have shared something more, that would have been part of a demo aspect of how it works. But now, if you see, this is a starting point of the conversation or a midpoint in a coaching call right away. That it is part of a coaching continuum that has happened, or we are 20th minute, 30th minute as part of the conversation, right? There also a contract is already established. We're trying to work with that contract. So that's something that is a place where you can use it, and the client is stuck. Second is if this was a coaching, it's a group coaching call. I put you with an image. I'm sure all 21 of or 20 of you that are coming to your would, out of the 6 or 7 images there, would choose one of them as to be your favorite, one of them to be your least favorite. All of you would have still had stories without asking you a single question, maybe two questions. What's your best and what's your least best? I have set you thinking on something that's interesting. And maybe now I can follow it up individually with a one-to-one conversation that sets the tone for who we are as individuals. And essentially, if they, what Jyoti said, in terms of who you are as a woman, their roles as a daughter, this thing. So based on whatever you're hearing, what's relevant to the contract at that particular point of time, or you can say, oh, what do you want to talk about now that you've shared all of this? So it triggers us to think of something that's not just about, oh, you know what, I think this is it. With this two happening for the first 30 minutes, and then two or three follow-up questions, the client has found what their answer is already. That's one of the methodology of coaching that can happen. Possibly now that I think of it, I feel I have not embraced it that it to the enough extent of it to make that as part of how I run my usual coaching sessions. But I reserve this for places and timelines where the client is completely stuck. There's no place the client finds themselves to move. There's no vulnerable. So there's no movement for them possible. They feel they're stuck, and then the stuckness is very visible. At that point of time is when I put these conversations forward. Yes. So just a quick demonstration of how it can work for you. If there's a larger possibility, then yes. Uh, by June first week or the second week, I'm planning to do a larger masterclass around how coaching and creativity can exist. So if anybody is interested, just write to me. I'll be, putting my details on the chat. You can always write back to me at this particular place. Yes. And here you can also work with silence, you can also work with presence, you can also work with all core competencies at play. You're listening to the who of the client, you're listening to the whole of the client. This is working with metaphors, stories, internal worldview. From here, you can build on contracting. From here, you're staying with the client, you're asking permission, etc., everything put into play. Right. So it still works with the ICF core competencies. But as long as you don't color the canvas for the client, I think we are good with that aspect of coaching. Being a completely coaching space. Can it can be used in facilitation, can be used in creating some of these. Now I asked you to look at this from a favorite story or a favorite image, least favorite image kind of a thing. I could have as well asked you to say pick the odd one out, pick the one that has the least resonance to you. Use all or any of the two and make a story out of it. Uh, with what do you think is missing? What image would you add? So if you see this particular set is enough to put seven or eight tangents to this particular tool. And that's why some people ask me saying, why are you giving it so easily in a free session? Because I can build 10 tools right away from one single image. So I don't have to be bothered about it that somebody will take over something that's established. But I think coaching and creativity is so huge that it can bring up so many things. Now, I made Jyoti write a poem right here, right now, and that's something she is good at. But I've had people in the session who are good at drawing. I've asked them to contract via drawing itself, their point A in drawing, point B in drawing, and how do they get there in drawing. And only thing I've been asking is some of these questions that has taken them the other side. That's about it, right? So yeah, I think there are three of you, four of you who raised your raised your hands already. I'll just take that time to come back. But just as a closing point from the reflection aspect of the activity, I just wanted to give you a teaser of what happens, how coaching and creativity can coexist, the aspect of creative consciousness, that there is place for coaching and creativity being here in the same place. And I specifically made it as marriage because marriage is a space where there's ups, there's downs, there's some place that sometimes may not work, sometimes works. It's a dance we play. So, and formally, in terms of whatever I had to express and share and facilitate for this session, that's that. And I'm now happy to take questions from Jyoti, and then I think Mary had raised the hand, and Rushali. So we can go in the same order. and others are also open to share. I see also Simone has put something in the chat. Yeah, yeah, Jyoti, go ahead. I think you are on mute. So
In the second assignment that he told us to talk about what we do not resonate with, immediately before you even put it on the screen, I knew what I did not resonate with was the picture of the Beatles or the ants or whatever with the rock shit or whatever it was all about. I don't know. So I just did not associate because I don't like reptiles, you know. So, but it also made me feel very exhausted when I looked at it because I was seeing the struggle. And I it just reminded me how tough life can be. And, I took it that way earlier before I wrote about that woman with the question. So that was something out of, so I knew this is now something I have to write about. But when I got down to writing and I had to connect it with my life, I took it a different picture, which has given me a lesson for life, which was like earlier, it was seeming like an endless hill to climb for the ants. And then when I wrote down again that I couldn't relate, of course, to the picture at first, but looking closer, I saw it as a reminder of how small efforts matter. Like suppose I've attended all these sessions with you. There's so much of learning I've attended. When I just took off from coaching for the last 4 months, and suddenly within 4 weeks, within the 7 days, so much has come on a platter to me. So I saw it as a reminder of how small efforts matter. Every tiny ant face big obstacles, yet they keep moving. So maybe I just don't have to feel connected to every struggle. I just need to keep moving. So no
fantastic.
matter how, so I just took it as that, and it gave me a lot of motivation. So something I could not resonate with, it gave me motivation.
Good,
So
good,
there's one question I
fantastic.
have here
Hmm.
is that yes, here we are getting time, but when we are doing actual coaching with a coachee with ICF thing over us, there's so much of competencies to cover up. There's so much of, if I, like storytelling or story writing. Do we get time for all that?
Yes,
We do get, but
yes.
I've not tried it, but
See,
yes.
this is specifically for those places outside of your coaching that you're submitting to the ICF to, look at the competencies and, assess you on this. So I wouldn't really uh, have you do this as part of the one that you submit. But there is a space that beyond the submission, getting into mastery of coaching. Or
No,
say
like the
10
way,
period coaching window. Your client has come to you for a contracted of 10 sessions. You can start with this. I'll help you contract.
so every session does not have to cover up those. Of course not.
Oh,
Doesn't.
yeah, very beautiful question. So every session, you will not get the space to say all the competencies. The one that you're submitting to the ICF is in
Mhm.
such a way that it is like what you're exhibiting, right? It's like going to an exhibition, you're trying to show everything that there is. If you're putting it in a resume that says, what, hire me to
Yeah.
the company. But essentially, you at any given point of time, you can only do one small bit. So you can't do all things that you put in a resume on the same given day. That's not possible. So typically, there are the larger aspect after you've done your credentialing is that there is a lot more time available on your hand, especially working with the client. So some of them come for a 10 session, 5 session, whatever number of sessions. And if they're open for something like this, and this is in your radar as a coach to actually use this as a tool, you can use it. The session
So
itself can work on it. Yeah.
when I'm coaching someone for say about 5 sessions or 10 sessions, then I don't have to complete all the competence in one session. I just go maybe complete two in one, then maybe two more in the next one.
Yeah, I don't see it as disjointed competencies. You can't contract for session and you can't do active listening in
Yeah,
one
I can't
session,
keep
then you
asking
do
for an
that.
outcome every session.
Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah, the
fulfill
outcome has
all
to
of
come
the
on the 10th
identities.
session.
Yeah, you can see contracting needs to be done every session. Like long-term contract, short-term contract, every time, yes. Right, but not necessarily. Some sessions the client is not yet at a space where you want to look at saying what have you achieved out of this, or what would you like to do. They're still in exploration, so we you can allow that space to stay as is. You don't have to rush for them to say, what did you achieve at the end of the session? There are so many sessions where even if you've given 10 hours, it will continue. So, but you are contracted for an hour. You say, okay, what are you learning today? And would you like to continue that in our next session? That's it. Fantastic. You didn't do all those. What did you do? What did you accountable for? It's a celebration. The entire thing is not always to be done. There could be a space where 2 or 3 sessions overall could be the entirety of where all the competencies are mapped. But each of the session has to have a contract. And the
Lovely.
contract can be eased into saying, okay, today we've done a session where at 59 minutes you've done something, you've asked what did you learn about, etc., etc. 2 weeks down the line, they come for another session. You start off with saying, what happened, etc., etc. Another 15, 20 minutes into it, they've formed something based on whatever has happened, whatever is the action items, reflection items. And then there's something that has moved in them. So it's like eating an Indian thali. You can't eat everything at once. So you can eat
I
slowly
get
one
it.
after the other after the other.
Oh, that's a very good metaphor you used.
So I am a walking, talking metaphor machine. So that is there. So and one of the things I explained coaching without a niche was I'm going off topic, right? But you put anyways on the metaphors thing. Where I said coaching is like the same dosa batter. Like you, based on whatever you're putting on it, the niche and the other things change. But dosa remains dosa. The process is coaching. Yeah, so for Indians, you will, I think, very strongly resonate with the dosa example.
So maybe you
For
can put on your video and laugh.
yeah, so
I can just see a
that's
Buddha
that's
laughing
how
there.
that's how it is. Yeah, coming back to your answer, you don't have to explore every competency in each of the sessions. In fact,
Okay.
MCC is 80% of the competencies or the markers. MCC, yeah, I think PCC is 60% of the markers, 40% of your PCC markers. If you hit 40%, it's an ACC tick mark. And if you hit 60, then it's PCC, ATMC. Even at MCC level that you have to cross, it's not required in one session that you have to hit everything because that's too much of pressure that you have to putting on yourself. Right? Yeah, so
You just put a
not
link on
necessary.
chat. What is the link about? Is it your
That's a LinkedIn link that I sent you.
Oh, I'm already
So,
connected to you on LinkedIn, so it's
yeah,
okay.
so that's for all those who are not connected. My other details, I think the phone number is something that's there. You can also reach back to me here. So from today and say from Monday onwards, I am also enabling one individual mentoring session and one individual coaching session with any of you. My calendar remains the same. For those who don't know my calendar, write to me. I'll send you my calendar. And this runs for the next 20 days as such, the pro bono mentoring and the pro bono coaching. And yeah, so anyone else who wants to be a part of the coaching tribe of coaches that we run, it's a community for coaches by coaches. There are Monday sessions at 7 o'clock, typically what we started today, the same time as today's starting point. It's free and open for all coaches who have at least started 1 hour of coach training with ACC or direct PCC or even ACTC. So if you have done minimum 1 hour of coach training, you are eligible for to be with us there and learn from the space. And yeah, so Collins wants to be a part of the pro bono mentoring, and anybody else who wants to jump on the same bandwagon, jump on in. Roshali says yes. Jyoti says Jyoti is getting two, not just one.
Thank you. Wow, lovely. I'm getting gifts after gifts. I'm loving it.
So that's about it. And yeah, maybe before we close for today, I think two of you had put your hands raised. Um, Mary and Roshali, if you both here and want to share something, please go ahead.
I've got two pro bono with you.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yes.
And she's on
I
recording.
Mary, yes, go ahead. I'll come back to you, Jyoti. Yeah, Mary, go
you
ahead.
actually you actually answered it because I was saying, how else could this just be used for one thing when you did the images? And you said it could be used for more than one thing, and you had many other ways to use it. So that really answered the question that I had. But I was thinking in terms of competencies when we were talking about, trying to meet those. I think going into a session, knowing which competency you want to meet, like maybe one or two just in case one is not met, but not feeling pressure to do that, because then the the energy that you bring when you're pressured, the client can feel. And I was also told that when you go in, you should not need the client more than they need you. If you
Yeah,
do, that's repellent, as they say. So the client should need you at that moment, and you should be there to guide them. So that's what I picked up on.
beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I think that's a lovely point you made. You needing the client versus the client needing you. A lot of the times that coaches come to me when I'm mentoring them is saying, I need a win for myself because I want to feel that, coaching works or I am a good coach. I need this win. And sometimes we go to the session with that pressure, and that doesn't work for us. Thanks for bringing it up. Fantastic. So, Vishali and Jyoti, anything from you and anybody else who wants to share something? Feel free to put your hands up and share. And for those who have another session later, feel free to drop up from the session anytime you want. Or otherwise, stay. We will close in maybe another 5 or 6 minutes.
Hi, Sunil. Uh,
Yes, Vishali.
Thank you for a wonderful session. I don't know what happened with the second image. It got me like really emotional and it pulled at something. But I'm glad it did because I was anyways feeling anxious in the last 1 week. I've been trying to do multiple things and I was not giving myself that space to sit down and write. Though I know that writing and journaling is one of the things which really helps, but I have been just trying to be super productive and in the process not been able to sleep, not been able to journal, not been able to do anything, and then feeling super guilty about it. So by attending the session I was forcing myself to just not do anything, and you bringing up an image and something like this help me with a little more awareness of things and what I'm feeling. It's almost I feel I have been in therapy for a while, and I have a lot of awareness. So I feel that coaching is also something which I want to help people. Kind of like being a mirror for people. Which takes a lot of things. Like without your projections, holding that space and just letting them see. And I wrote something that you said, which is a line which resonated with me. You said, "Don't paint the canvas for the client," and I was like, "Whoa, what did he just say?" And I think that's something that is very natural for us as humans because we color things with our perception. So one of the most important lessons or things that I have been working with myself is trying to see things as they are, not through the filter of my past life and all those things, which takes a lot of practice. But yes, that is something which I'm consciously working on. And then and what Mary said, that not needing the client as much as the client needs you, which is very true, because even I realized that for the past 1 year, when I started off with coaching, I wanted a client badly to give myself that win. And once I let that fall and then I started working on other things, is when I got organically one client coming up to me and I was like, okay, this is strange. But then I realized, like, probably this is one of the way things work and I'm experiencing it for myself. That's why I trust it now. So thank you for this space, thank you for the tribe of coaches, thank you for amazing sessions, and thank you for making me uncomfortable and forcing me to do sit with things which I don't want to do. That is why I avoid writing or journaling at times. But thank you so much, because it's I think self-awareness and getting to know yourself is a hard journey. No matter, the more self-aware a person is, you can know that the person has gone through shit and that person has definitely had to dig deep. Not that he had an option, but that's how it is. So thank you for being the coach and mentor that you are and making me uncomfortable, though I hate it. But at the same time, I know I need it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I think most of the work was yours anyway. So I just asked you 2 or 3 questions and you found out what you wanted to find out. But yeah, I'll take my compliments. Fantastic. Yes. So that puts us to the end of an amazing set of events. I'll come to you, Jyoti. So And maybe I am shamelessly asking for LinkedIn recommendations or a LinkedIn testimonial for all those who've been a part of the session and multiple other sessions. So it's for me a space where I've accepted for myself that space of taking over the mantle of a coach of coaches. It's something that one of the other coaches gave me a space, and he calls me COC very fondly. He doesn't even call me Sunil. He says COC, and I've been very reluctant for the last 3 months to put it out there, saying I can take that app as a niche or specialization or whatever that you like to call it. But I think over the ICW, it's become very clearer over a period of the week that this is something that naturally fits me, and why not do it? So a coach of coaches, then an ICF mentor, then the next possible agenda, now that I'm putting it out there and manifesting, is train the trainer by the time the next ICW happens. I want to do a train the trainer for creativity and coaching at least, if not for a L1 and L2. That's something that I'm looking forward to. And I need your support in making that happen. And I think thanks for all of this. And Jyoti, you get closing honors for this session.
Well, Sunil, thank you so much for this truly enriching week. I mean, I think I've just not learned about the valuable insights about life coaching, which I was desperately looking out for right now. This is what I needed. But I've also discovered a deeper sense of confidence once again within myself, which because of not doing coaching for the last 4 or 5 months, and in fact, I think it's gone higher on that level, being constantly with you and through these sessions. So grateful to you for all your wisdom, for all your guidance, and for giving me the space to really speak whenever I wanted to. I think I took up too much of space all the time. I was speaking like parallelly with you. So grateful really for your warmth and your guidance. And we have a long
Yes,
journey
always.
ahead. Yes, and I'm happy to be a part of the tribe. And I would recommend all of you people also because I've been long associated with Sunil. And this tribe is really, it's like a home, you know. I mean, I joined some other tribes also, which just did not go with me because either they were not up to the mark with the, what's happening in the ICF, or they were too high funda, like they had thousands of members where you're not recognized. Yes, I think Sunil knows every member of his personally. And Sunil himself is just a WhatsApp away. You just message him and immediately messages you back. And even if need be, he can speak to you on the phone when required. So it looks like a friend around, it doesn't look like there's some teacher around you and we are the students. It's a very comfortable feeling in the entire tribe. So that's why I just stayed on here. Thank you so much, Sunil. And thank you so much, everybody else, for tolerating me and all my nonsensical jabber all the time. That I don't do when I had my coaching hat on. No, I don't talk
That's
so much.
fantastic. I think we've all loved your question. Sometimes it's something we hold as a question, and you put it out there. And thank you for all the love, energy, grace that has been extended. Your time, I know, is precious, and thank you for today. And we'll keep in touch. My LinkedIn, my Gmail, and all of that is put there. For those that need the mentoring hours, just write to me. I'll share you the calendar link, and then we should be able to go and jump on board. Yes. Thanks, Mona. Thanks for your
It's getting
share.
a little
Yes.
nostalgic now, I guess.
Which makes me put up another session.
It's
So
mixed emotions.
tomorrow at 7 we can always connect to say what did we learn at this. So for others in the tribe it can be a thing for they can also experience it.
No, I need to
So
write my
tomorrow at 7 we
testimonials.
can
I need
always
to
connect.
write my post. I have lots of work tomorrow, so I'll see if I'm not too tired tomorrow.
Yes.
First goes my gratitude for writing to you, a testimonial, and of course a post because of all I've learned that from you, and about my ICW experience with you. So that's my work for tomorrow.